Hello, everyone. Welcome to IELTS Insider. Just a couple minutes late today. Welcome, students. We're going to talk about 10 essential IELTS phrasal verbs. So, before we get into the topic, I'm just going to say hello to the chat. Make sure all the students are here. You've been waiting patiently. Thank you very much. So, we see Layla's here. Janina, hello. Irene. Sleepwalker, Sama, May. What are you saying here, Layla? I took it. Oh, you're talking about something else. I know some of you did the IELTS homework from my last live stream. I'm going to check that later in the week. Today, I'm going to talk about essential phrasal verbs because I decided you needed more phrasal verbs and vocabulary. All right, I'm just skipping through the comments here so I can quickly get into the lesson. Where is Robin? Is he at? No, I'm not sleeping. All right, let's get into the lesson. 10 essential phrasal verbs here. Where am I going to put the camera? Down here. All right, I'll put myself down here. And what we're doing in this lesson, we're just going to look at the 10 vocabulary, the 10 phrasal verbs. I'm going to explain it. It should be fairly simple today. And of course, there'll be some homework to do. We'll get to that later. But for now, we'll just say hello to Nazardine and Shamaya. Welcome. And Layla's here. Layla with an I. All right, let's get started. Now, it should be fairly easy. You know this format. We had this format before. I have the top sentence there, and you can see the 10 phrasal verbs we are talking about in this lesson. Number 1, account for. Number 2, adhere to. Number 3, bank on. Number 4, brush up on. Number 5, dawn on. Number 6, do away with. Number 7, frown upon. Number 8, shop around. Number 9, stamp out. And number 10, think back. That's a big list, May. I'll try to repeat that as much as I can. All right. So our first sentence here, you have to guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Children from fatherless homes, blank, 90% of runaways. What are runaways? What are runaways? Well, before we get to the answer, what are runaways? Are you a runaway? Nobody's answering my question. What's a runaway? Nobody is answering my question. Maybe there's some delay. All right, thank you. They leave home. Who usually leaves home? Usually, young people are runaways under 18. They leave home, and so children from fatherless homes. 90% of blank. 90% of runaways account for, adhere to, bank on, brush up on, dawn on, do away with, frown upon, shop around, stamp out, think back, and the answer, I think, who said it first? Someone said account for, sleepwalker account for, escape from is a good guess, but that's not in our list, mate. Account for, escape from home. They leave home, yeah, out. Account for, leaving houses. Okay, you got it all. So I think everyone's on a little delay. And yes, the answer will be account for. And what does account for mean? Some fathers are also runaways. Well, we don't call those fathers runaways. We call them deadbeat dads. Those are dads that leave their house and maybe they don't give money to their family. But usually only children are runaways. All right, so we have our phrasal verb, very common, and you need to know account for, to give a reason or explanation for. I'm explaining it. Account for, to give a reason or explanation for. I had to account for every penny I spent. So maybe someone is checking your money and you had to explain your budget to your boss or something, so you had to account for, you had to explain, give a reason. So I had to account for every penny I spent. So I took a business trip. My boss gave me some budget, some expense account, or he wanted to pay for my expenses on the business trip, but I had to account for every penny I spent. I had to explain, I had to give a reason for every penny, all the money I spent. Account for. Another example sentence: he was brought before the judge to account for his behavior. He had to explain, give a reason for his behavior. And if he's before a judge, we're going to guess that was bad behavior. That's account for. Very quickly in the chat, can you give me a sentence using account for? Account for. To mean, to give a reason or explanation. In the chat, give me a sentence. I will wait. Account for. Account for. So I had to account for every penny I spent. He was brought before the judge to account for his behavior. Layla's asking a question. Can we say it about our acts? What do you mean about our acts? Yes, our actions. Yes, we have to account for our actions sometimes. We have to give a reason for our actions. Kin Peng, hey, welcome. If you're just watching, say hello. If you haven't already, let me know you're here watching. Anyone have an example sentence? I'm wondering if there's a little bit of delay today because chat seems to be a little bit slow. Oh, here we go. Sleepwalker says, I have to account for it why I should do this. So it's very vague, not clear. What are you talking about? I have to account for it why I should do this. Do what? Account to who? I had to account for every move I did. To who? To whom? Your husband? I have to account for leaving my country. Why do you have to explain leaving your country? That's so vague too. You guys have vague answers, so I'm not sure if you actually understand the word or the phrasal verb. I count my money. No, Nazdarene, this is not count. We have to use the phrasal verb account for. He needed to account for his late. Yes, he had to explain. Okay, now what was the problem? Coming late. Coming late was the problem. So he had to explain that. He had to account for. He had to give a reason. So it's good in your sentence if you have some sort of problem and then you have to explain why for that problem. Not always a problem, but Shema Salah, yes, he had to account for his bad behavior. To who? To whom did he have to account for? But that's right. I have to account for the delayed answers. Yes, Sleepwalker. Why are your answers delayed? Layla, I did the best I could to give a reason. I had to give a reason for every penny I spent. He was brought before the judge to give a reason for his behavior. If you don't understand, give a reason or explain, I had to explain every penny I spent. He was brought before the judge to explain his behavior. The bad weather may have accounted for the small crowd. Okay, that makes sense. The small crowd at the outdoor exhibition. I have to account for my family. I have to explain my family. That doesn't make sense, Layla. I have to account for why I didn't attend my family meeting. You can't account for, you have to account for, you can't account, you account, you want to say, I want to count to my family. That doesn't work. You account for your, so you'd reword that I have to account for why I didn't attend the meeting. I have to explain why I didn't attend the meeting to my family. I have to account for my expenses to my boss when it's an amount which exceeds, let's put an S on exceeds $100. Okay. Hey, Raid, welcome. I got it. I accounted for my monthly spending to economize expenses. There we go. The IELTS examiner wanted to hear why I decided to take the test, so I had to account for it. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on. So stop. We got enough explanations. We're going to move on to the next phrasal verb. You guys are very active now. In the beginning, you were a little quiet. Now, very active. The student had to account for his wrong answer. Yes. 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 Yeah, that's right, Layla. Hello, Nay. Myrnawadi's here. Oh, yeah, I read Myrnawadi's. I can't account for some of my. Oh, Layla with an I is telling us something about her personal life. I can't account for some of my weird actions. What are your weird actions? Robin, I got the meaning by putting in a sentence. It is a little not clear for me. Yep. That's why I'm asking everyone to put it in a sentence. All right, let's go on to the next one. Phrasal verb number 2. I am blank. The housing prices to drop next year. I am blank. The housing prices to drop next year. I am account for the housing prices to drop next year. I am adhere to the housing prices to drop next year. I am bank on. I am brush up on. I am dawn on. I am do away with. I am frown upon. I am shop around. I am stamp out. I am think back. We have bank on. We have frown upon. Mernawati says bank on. Nasruddin, account the people for invitation. I can't. What do you mean, Nasruddin? Account the people for invitation. Bank on. Robin, if you explain the information so fast today. Actually, I spent Layla, I've never asked for example sentences during the live stream before. This is the first time I asked for example sentences. So actually, I would argue that I have spent more time with the example sentences than before. All right. So I think Nishang says Don on Sama bank on. The answer is bank on. So in the sentence, I would say I am banking on the housing prices to drop next year. This is a phrasal verb. Bank on, to expect and hope something will happen. This is an unusual one because we have the word bank, which is usually a noun, a place where you keep your money, but this is a phrasal verb, bank on, which means you expect something. You expect and hope it will happen. So I am banking on the housing prices to drop next year. I expect and hope the housing prices to drop next year. Let's look at an example sentence. You can bank on me getting band 7 in IELTS, right? You're telling me that I can expect and hope that you get band 7 in IELTS, and I am banking on the COVID situation getting better next year. So in the chat, give me some example sentences using bank on right now. Bank on, I expect and hope. I am banking on the housing prices to drop next year. I am expecting and hoping. You can bank on me getting band 7 in IELTS. You can expect me to get band 7 in IELTS. I am banking on the COVID situation getting better next year. I am expecting and hoping the COVID situation gets better next year. All right. And Layla with an I says, you can bank on my support whenever you need it. I bank on next year will be better. I bank on. Okay. Any other banks on? Layla, well, then that's a new one for me. That's why we're here. That's why I use this one. I'm hoping you don't know it. I hope to teach you something new. And Raid says, I bank on my wife to be pregnant. Is that true, Raid? You're married and you hope your wife is pregnant? Maybe I would say I'm banking on next year. I'm banking on next year. Let's close this. I bank on next year. I bank on next year. I'm banking on next year being better. Might be a better way to phrase that. I'm banking on next year being better. Um, I'm banking. Let's use I am. I am banking on my wife being pregnant. Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck, Raid. I'm banking on the increase of my salary next year. Well, May, well, good luck to you. That's hard to get an increase in salary these days. I'm banking on my English learning. I'm banking on that my I'm banking on that my English learning helps me to be hired in an international company. It will. It will. I'm banking on that Robin gives more information than this lesson. I'm not. I'm not. Don't bank on it. Don't bank on it. We have one son. Son does not have an E. I bank on you memorize all the I oh, how your grammar's a little awkward here. I'm let's use it. I think it's more I guess it's better to use the present continuous. I am banking. So I am banking on you to memorize all the phrasal verbs. Something like that would be better. I'm banking on you to help me. Yes, Kinpeng, you can bank on it. I'm banking again. Let's use the I am banking on getting a better job next year. Good. I hope you do. And I'm banking on this lesson will help me in the future. I'm banking on that this lesson. Let's put it that this lesson will help me. Well, certainly banking on is a good phrasal verb to know, and it's time today that you know this phrasal verb, you practice it because it's common, it's popular, it's a good one to use. Uh, bank on. Let's go on to number 3 after I read the next two. I'm banking on to hear all the details of my task. Mm, yeah. Okay. I'm banking on the economic situation now being better or getting better. Yeah. Yeah, that works. I'm banking to be a clinical pharmacist. I'm banking on. It's not banking. It's we got to follow the rules of the phrasal verb. It's usually two or three words in a phrasal verb. You got to use them all. Bank on. Bank on rate. I'm banking on my daughter to become an engineer. Perfect. This is a good sentence. I'm banking on being a volunteer for the next IELTS speaking mock test. Really, Mernawati? Send me a message in the WhatsApp group. I'm banking on my family will help me more. Yes. Yes. Okay. We're going to move on. Number 3. We need to blank racism. There are 2 possible answers, but I want the strongest possible answer, if that makes sense. So we need to blank racism. We need to account for racism. We need to adhere to racism. We need to bank on racism. We need to brush up on racism. We need to dawn on racism. We need to do away with racism. We need to frown upon racism. We need to shop around racism. We need to stamp out racism. We need to think back racism. 2 of them are possible, but I want the strongest one. I'm banking on to be a yep, like that. I guess there's 3 possible answers, but I want the strongest. I want the strongest one. All right, what are the answers coming in? Sleepwalker says stamp out, and then Sleepwalker says do away with. Which one do you finally choose? Layla says dawn on, frown upon, do away. There's no do away, there's do away with. Layla with an I, think back, do away, frown upon to, do away with, or maybe frown upon. Stamp out, dawn on, do away with. All right, Layla, I'm lost. Well, there are 2 possible. There's a, with phrase. How can I explain this? There, you know, there could be multiple for every question. There could be multiple answers, but I am looking for a specific answer here, and the one I'm looking at is stamp out racism. Now, do away with, we're going to talk about do away with later, but do away with and stamp out are similar. They're not perfect synonyms, but they are near synonyms. But stamp out is certainly stronger. So we're talking about racism. Racism is a very serious problem. So we want to use the stronger phrasal verb stamp out, which means to put an end to something, to eradicate something. And there's a good word there, to eradicate, which means end forever. End forever. We want to stamp out. Now, stamp out comes from a fire. And when you want to put out a fire, you're putting your feet on the fire to, we call that with your feet, you stamp out the fire to make sure the fire is dead, gone forever. So we use stamp out means to end something, to get rid of it forever. So we can say we need to do away with racism. That's possible. But as I said, I wanted the stronger one, which is stamp out, which is get rid of it forever. And urgent, here's an example sentence: urgent action is required to stamp out corruption, right? Corruption is bad. We want to stamp that out. Urgent action is required. It's time we stamp out world hunger, is another example sentence. So eradicate it, get rid of it forever. All right. Stamp out, to cut it from its roots. No, we're not cutting anything from the roots. To stop something to happen again. What does it mean, racism? Well, Neishang, racism is a word you really need for IELTS. That means you you do not like another race of people. For example, white people don't like black people, or black people don't like Asian people, or Asian people don't like white people. If you don't like a group of people because of their race, that's racism. All right. Yeah, give me some examples of stamp out. Layla with an I has a good one here. The government should stamp out child abuse. We should stamp out taxes. What's another? What's another good sentence using stamp out? His life is stamped out sometimes. Oh, Lavanya, why is his life? So stamped out means we want to end something. So his life ended. Sometimes it's a little awkward. That means he maybe died a couple times. Be careful. We don't want to stamp out a life. If you stamp out a life, that means you kill someone. You don't want to stamp out a life. It's possible. If you said his life was stamped out, that means he's dead. He's ended forever. The violence against women has to be stamped out. Yes. Using men for money has to be stamped out. Illegal logging should be stamped out to prevent deforestation. There we go, Myrnawati. Right with the perfect IELTS sentence. Myrnawati is going to the next level. She's thinking, how can I use this in the IELTS test? There we go. People must stamp out the habit of cruelty to animals. You could just shorten this to people must stamp out cruelty to animals. And people, it's a little vague. What do you mean, people? All people? The government? Citizens? The climate change seriously threatens certain animals to stamp out. Well, all right. This needs a little bit of rewording, Sama. You could say climate change seriously threatens to stamp out certain animals. I would put the stamp out in the middle before, as you can see in my first example sentence, stamp out corruption, stamp out certain animals. How can teachers stamp out cheating? Oh, let me know. Give me the tips. We should stamp out using of my car. No, it's too strong, Raid. Stamp out is too strong. You want something to finish forever. So things about your car, that's too small of a problem. We want world problems: hunger, poverty, abuse, child abuse, animal abuse. Problems with your car, that's not a big enough problem. You got to think big. Like May, child abuse should be stamped out. It's necessary to stamp out the problem of homeless people, yes. We must not simply stamp out our traditions. Yep. The governments have to stamp out desertification. Is that a word? I guess it is. Desertification in most countries. Well, I don't think most countries have desertification problems. Maybe Saudi Arabia has that. You're already a desert, aren't you? It's too late in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I haven't been there, so I can't really comment. All right, we're going to move on to number 4. Number 4 says the company blank dating among employees. So we have the company account for dating among employees, the company adhere to dating among employees, the company bank on dating among employees, the company brush up on dating among employees, the company dawn on dating among employees, the company do away with dating among employees, the company frown upon, shop around, stamp out dating among employees, think back. Many Ukrainian people stamped out no, they didn't, Lavanya. The war is still on. So they did not succeed to stamp out. Stamp out is end forever. Maybe they're trying, but they did not do it yet. They're trying. All right. Sleepwalker says frown upon, frown upon. Think back. Think back. We got 3 for think back. Any other people gonna guess? Well, the answer is frown, frowns upon. Now, if you look at my face, I'll put my face back. This is a frown. This is a smile. This is a frown. And we frown upon or frown on. You can use both are acceptable. To disapprove of something. So it might not be a law. It might not be a rule. It might not be a policy, but still people don't like it. So we frown upon it. So it's not a law. It's not a rule, but we don't like it. We don't like it. So an example, public expressions of affection are frowned upon in many cultures. So you might have a young couple on the street and they're kissing, and the people around them, it might be there's no rule, right? People can kiss, that's okay, but the people around them don't like it, so they frown upon it. That means they don't like it, they disapprove of it. What does disapprove mean? Well, that's the opposite of approve. Approve, disapprove. I think you've studied approve many, many times, Layla. We've used approve. I don't guess it. Lavanya, every phrasal verb here, I hope you don't know. The people, students expect I should know all 10 phrasal verbs. No, that's not why I don't bring the easy ones. I bring the difficult ones because I hope you don't know the phrasal verb and you can learn something today. Frown upon. So let's go back to the first one. The company frowns upon dating among employees. So there might not be a rule. It might be okay for employees to date, but they don't like it. So they frown upon it. You can do it, but they don't like it. So public expressions of affection are frowned upon in many cultures. And another example here, I wrote sleeveless shirts for women are frowned upon in Korea. So this is a sleeve, and sleeveless means you have no sleeve, and maybe you're right up to the shoulder, and that's kind of frowned upon in Korea. It depends on the shirt. If it's a t-shirt, that's okay, but if you have a dress that is sleeveless, sometimes that's frowned upon in Korea. Uh, Especially if you're showing too much shoulder, that's frowned upon in Korea. There's no rule, just people don't like it, and usually women cover their shoulders and upper arms. So what is frowned upon in your country? It's not a rule, it's not a law, just people don't like it. Many statements and theories from the past are frowned upon these days. Yes. A lot of information is frowned upon. The management frowns upon staff to eat at their workstation. Okay, so that's a good one, May. Women, you don't have to put the apostrophe S. You just say women. That's the plural. Women going out at night alone is frowned upon in my country. Okay. I think most countries, although Korea changed a lot, women go out late in Korea. Wearing shorts for men is frowned upon. You want to use a past tense. It's going to be commonly it's frowned upon. So wearing shorts for men is frowned upon in public places. Yeah. So, well, your country is very hot, but you can't wear shorts. So if I visit Saudi Arabia, I can't wear shorts. It's frowned upon. I can't show my sexy legs, my hairy legs. Our new manager is a real piece of work. You got an idiom there, piece of work. Thus, everyone frowned upon his policy. In France, getting up from the table during a lunch before the latest person finished eating is frowned upon. Okay. Rhoda. I always frown upon people who don't know how to cook. Oh, Rhoda Hagen, you're very strict. If I say I don't know how to cook, are you going to frown upon me? Wearing shorts for men is frowned upon in public places. The monsoon season, Flavania says, the monsoon season frowns upon the people. So it disapproves of the people. Usually weather doesn't frown upon. People have the expression frown upon, but we don't give that to animals or the weather. But I understand what you're saying. You can do it. Okay. Don't care about people. All right, let's go to number 5. Number 5 says they failed to blank the terms of the agreement. They failed to blank the terms of the agreement. They failed to account for the terms of the agreement. They failed to adhere to the terms of the agreement. They failed to bank on the terms of the agreement. They failed to brush up on the terms of the agreement. They failed to dawn on the terms of the agreement. They failed to do away with the terms of the agreement. They failed to frown upon the terms of the agreement. They failed to shop around the terms of the agreement, and they failed to stamp out the terms of the agreement. They failed to think back the terms of the agreement. We have racism, and while racism should be frowned upon. All right. Adhere to, adhere to, adhere to, adhere to, adhere to, adhere to. Mernawati, dawn on, stick to, adhere to, adhere to. And the answer is adhere to. They failed to listen to how I say it, adhere to the terms of the agreement, and adhere to behave according to a specific rule, principle, or belief. So if you adhere to something, you follow it, you follow that rule, you follow that your belief. So I adhere to a strict workout schedule. So I behave, I adhere to the principles of my religion. I follow the principles of my religion or my beliefs. And my example sentence here, Robin expects everyone to adhere to his WhatsApp rules. I have my if you haven't joined the WhatsApp group, join it in the comment section. Let me know who you are. So I expect everyone to adhere, follow the rules, and everything about my WhatsApp groups. And another example sentence: companies must adhere to strict guidelines on the disposal of toxic waste. So companies must adhere to strict guidelines on the disposal of toxic waste. In the comment section, make some sentences with adhere to. Sleepwalker, let's adhere to our lesson plan. Yes. I try to adhere to the law of my country, even if I don't like it. I try. It means sometimes you fail. Adhere to is a great IELTS word. I suggest you practice saying, or IELTS phrasal verb. Practice using, saying, adhere to, adhere to. Students must adhere to all the rules set by the school. Of course, if they're good students. Not all students adhere to the rules. Wow, Layla with an I says, I don't like to adhere to any laws. Any laws that includes murder and stealing. You don't like to adhere to those laws? People come to this company must adhere to the established rules. Yes. People must adhere to the laws of their countries. Yes. He adheres to the new contracts, which includes a lower, what's an overcome? Income? My boss always expects, with an S, all the employees to adhere to the rules. Yes. How are you choosing the phrasal verbs? I'm just checking common ones that I think you should know. Every phrasal verb here you should know. Income. Okay, got it. Yes. Children have to adhere to the advice of their parents. Yes. All right, let's move on to number 6. Number 6 says, after working on the problem for 6 years, the solution finally blank him. After working on the problem for 6 years, the solution finally blank him. The solution finally accounted for him. The solution finally adhered to him. The solution finally banked on him. The solution finally brushed up on him. The solution finally dawned on him. The solution finally did away with him. The solution finally frowned upon him. The solution finally shopped around him. The solution finally stamped out him. And the solution finally thought back him. Mernawati, my students could get a high score if they adhere to my rules in the classroom. Yes. I prefer understanding and accepting rather than adhering. All right. I think Sleepwalker has a maybe for dawn on, and Layla with an I, dawn on, and Mernawati has a daw on. Rhoda is going to go up and brushed on. There is no brushed on. There is brush up on, dawn on. And Lavanya, last week my government adhered to new motorcycle rules. So you're saying the government, I don't think this is the right usage of adhere. So you should say last week my government made or created new motorcycle rules, and the citizens, the people, adhered to the rules. They followed the rules. So you're saying last week my government followed. Your government is following the new motorcycle rules, or the citizens are following? Brushed up on. Well, the answer for number 6 is dawn on. After working on the problem for 6 years, the solution finally dawned on him. Dawn on. So if something dawns on you, to begin to be understood or realized for the first time. If something dawns on you, you start to realize, now I understand. So that situation right there means something dawned on you. Aha, now I understand. That's dawn on, that situation. You realize or you begin to understand. So going back, after working on the problem for 6 years he's working on some problem, but the solution finally dawned on him. So after 6 years, aha, I got it. I know the answer. I know the solution. Here's a joke sentence I put. Do you understand the joke? It dawned on me that my father is the mailman. So what's happening there? So suddenly I realized, oh, my father is the mailman. Second sentence. After I hung up the phone, it dawned on me that I was just scammed. So maybe I was on the phone talking to someone and I gave my information and then I hung up the phone and then I realized, oh, I was just scammed. So that's dawn on. Can you give me a sentence with dawn on? Okay, Sleepwalker says, after an hour of reading this article, he finally dawned on what was behind it. After an hour of reading this article, I would say I would reword that a little bit. After an hour of reading this article, the solution, dawned on, or after an hour reading this article, what was behind it? Okay. What you're trying to understood, what was behind it dawned on him. It dawned on me after being with fake friends. So I was with my friends and it dawned on me, hey, these friends are just fake. Yes, I just understood Maybe after 20, 30, 40 years, my father is the mailman. It just dawned on me. Rhoda Haga, do you have fake friends? After 6 years, she dawned on that guy was her son. No, this needs some rewording. After 6 years, uh, this one isn't going to work because I'm not sure what you're trying to say. After 6 years, it dawned on him that that was his son, because it dawned on her that it was her son. Usually women know their son, and they never they give birth to the son, so there's never a period when they don't realize it's not their son. Try that one again, Layla. Rhoda says, yeah, I do have fake friends. We all have fake friends. It dawned on me that he was handsome after knowing him for 2 years. This is a good one. Mernawati, this is a good one. So you know him for 2 years, and then it dawns on you that he's handsome. It dawned on me that my boss will never give me a raise. Yes. So you were working 5 years, and then he's never going to give me a raise. I know the feeling. When I arrived at the train station, it dawned on me. You got to use you never want to say I dawned. So may and it is the situation. That situation, I realized that situation. So when I arrived at this train station, it dawned on me that I left my phone at the office. So that situation became known. It finally dawned on me that I was with the wrong partner. Uh-oh. When did it dawn on you, Layla with an I? After how many years? When she lost her son, and then after 6 years, it dawned on her that that boy was her son. Okay, so Layla, the problem is your story is a full 10 episode Netflix series you're trying to put into one sentence. This is a full 10 episode Netflix series. When she lost her son, and then after 6 years, it dawned on her that the boy was her son. It dawned on me after messing up with my okay. I won't go into details, Rhoda. After many years, it dawned on me that that girl's not an honest friend. An honest friend. A-N, because honest it starts with an H, but the sound is on. It starts with a vowel sound, so an honest friend. I'll type that out. An honest. All right, let's go into number 7. Number 7, before I go to Canada, I need to blank my English. Before I go to Canada, I need to account for my English, adhere to my English, bank on my English, brush up on my English, dawn on my English, do away with my English, frown upon my English, shop around my English, stamp out my English, think back my English. All right, so Sleepwalker, Layla with an I, Layla with a Y, May, Rhoda, Lavanya. You're all saying brush up on, and yep, that is the answer. brush up on. Brush up on to improve a skill, especially when you have not used it for a long time. So maybe you have some skill that you haven't used for a long time, and for some reason you have to, uh, you know, learn that skill again. So we say brush up on. So before I go to Canada, I need to brush up on my English. Not me. Well, maybe me too. So my example sentences, I need to brush up on my interview skills before my job interview. So you got to practice the interview skills again before the job interview. Uh, and my second example, it's been a long time since I studied math. I need to brush up on it. Polish up is a synonym, as I remember. Yep, polish up would be another phrasal verb that would work here. Polish up my English. Thank you for sharing that. And I chose brush up on because I thought this is actually one of the easier ones. I don't think anyone is listening to brush up on the first time. Am I correct? Is anyone here? Is this the first time you are seeing or hearing brush up on? Let me know. I need to brush up on my math information before applying as a teacher. I don't like the word information. I need to brush up on my math skills, or my math knowledge would be a better word than information. Knowledge. I devote my time and energy to brushing up on my English skill before continuing my education. Okay. I brush up on my English a day before my internship. Just a day? No, it's a common phrasal verb. Yes, Layla already know. And Salma says, it's the first time I heard this one. Interesting, because I thought, I can't, of the 10 phrasal verbs, I think, well, which couple might be easy? And I thought maybe brush up on is one of the easier ones because it's so common. Every phrasal verb here is common, but I think brush up is one of the more common, easier ones here. I feel I heard it before, but I don't remember when. Well, you heard it again. May says, I need to brush up on my writing skills so that I can write a good report. Okay. I need to brush up on my math knowledge before. Yep, that works. I need to brush up on my knowledge in this field of science. Yes, that's all brush up on. Let's go to number 8. Number 8 says, we need to blank all this extra paperwork. We need to blank all this extra paperwork. Account for, adhere to, bank on, brush up on, dawn on, do away with, frown upon, shop around, stamp out, think back. I brush up on my daily English homework. Oh, yes. The answers are coming in. Do away with. We're running out of phrasal verbs. Oh, Hendrix here. I have to brush up on my English speaking skill. Yes, you do. All right. I think everyone is saying doing away with. Yes, it is do away with. As I said, this is similar to stamp out, but stamp out is stronger. Like get rid of something forever. Do away with. You could also use that for serious problems. We need to do away with world hunger. We need to do away with corruption. That works too. So do away with end or terminate, finish completely. So it is a near synonym to stamp out. So robots, my example sentence, robots might do away with factory jobs. And another example sentence, personally, I think we should do away with school uniforms. So robots might do away with factory jobs. Personally, I think we should do away with school uniforms. And does anyone here have do away with example sentences? And Layla with an I says, I need to brush up on my sewing skills. Sewing. I last time I did sewing would be about 35 years ago. Hey, we have Kieran Preet Chana. Hello, welcome. Layla with an I have to do away with my bad eating habits. Rhoda says I have to, maybe you should say I have to do away with my toxic relationship. Rhoda, I think Rhoda has a Netflix series also. What's going on, Rhoda? I should do away with my bad habits. Yes. New technologies have done away with many difficulties in people's lives. Yes. And there's Kieran Preet Chana. Hello. People need to do away with their lazy habit. Habit or habits? We have lazy habits, don't we? Hendrik, I have to do away with my toxic girlfriend. Maybe isn't a toxic girlfriend better than no girlfriend? All right. Let's go to number 9. Number 9 says, I need you to blank and tell me what time you left work last night. I need you to blank and tell me what time you left work last night. To account for, to adhere to, bank on, brush up on, dawn on, do away with, frown upon, shop around, stamp out, think back. And we're running out of phrasal verbs, so you can guess very well. Layla with an I, you should do away with drinking soda. I'm going to take a drink. Cheers, Layla with an I, as I drink soda. The community has to do away with throwing garbage on the street. I would say stamp out is better for this. Do away is good for a personal thing, but something in society, yeah, you can use do away, but let's stamp it out. Let's get rid of it 100%. Think back, think back, think back. All right. Yeah. The answer here is I need you to think back and tell me what time you left work last night. Think back means remember. You need to think back. You need to remember. Synonym. Thinking back to my example sentence, thinking back to my college days, it amazes me how I survived on so little sleep. Thinking back, remembering my college days, thinking back to my college days. It amazes me how I survived on so little sleep. Second example sentence, when I think back to my childhood, I wish I studied harder. So, a little bit used grammatically different than just remember, but can you make any sentences with think back? Yeah, it is, similar to looking back. I can't think back where I put my keys last night. I can't think back. Does it? I don't think we use, very interesting, Layla. I don't think we use it in the negative. I didn't think about it right now, but I'm thinking right now. Do we use think back in the negative? I can't think back. I can't remember. I think a native speaker is not, I can't think of every situation, but my feeling right now is a native speaker doesn't really use think back in a negative sentence. And I didn't know that until you made a negative sentence because I can't think back where Rhoda says, thinking back about how I was saved by the Almighty God. That's grammatically okay. I lost my watch. I try to think back to the last time I wore it. I always think back to my summer days during the winter. As I think back about my school time, you could just say my school time. I miss it so much. Oh, I don't miss it. You need to think back about your childhood in Canada and tell us about your memories on our WhatsApp group. Ugh. I'll make a video. Layla, can you think back what triggered this bad reaction? Oh, okay, that's a good sentence. So if you're at the hospital, maybe the doctor asks you, can you think back what triggered this bad reaction? What, you're doing it twice. All right, we're going to go to number 10. And if you've been paying attention, this should be easy. Blank before you buy that car. Account for, adhere to, bank on, brush up on, dawn on, do away with, frown upon. Shop around, stamp out, think back. Robin, you have to think back if native speakers really don't use think back in negative situation. Yes, I have to think back. Thinking back to my time in high school, it was an unforgettable memory. Don't use a capital I after a comma. And there's only one left, and everyone's going to get it. Shop around, shop around, shop around. What does shop around mean? I'll make it more difficult. You have to tell me the definition. What does shop around mean? Hendrik. Everyone has shop around. So shop around, that's correct. Shop around before you buy that car. What does shop around mean? Visit several shops, yes, but why? Yeah, Murnawati, comparing prices, Sleepwalker, compare prices. Yeah. So shop around usually means to compare prices. So yes, you go to other shops to check the price or the quality or see what other deals there are. That's shop around. You compare the prices. So my example sentence is take time to shop around for the best deal. Shop around, go to many shops, check the prices. And another example sentence, never buy the first car you see, always shop around. I like buying from multiple. You buy from multiple places to get the great price. I don't think you're buying from multiple places. That means you got to buy here and buy here. You're buying multiple things. You got to fix that sentence. You're not buying from multiple places. I'm too shy to shop around, so I always go to the same store. Too shy? You can do it on the internet. You don't even have to talk to a human. Shop around means that you need to look around to other shops to compare the price. That is correct. We learned recently this phrasal verb with James. Yeah, there's going to be a few overlap with James. And as I was preparing the phrasal verbs today, I was like, James has done a lot of phrasal verbs already. And in the future, you might have a few more repeats. Rhoda Hagan, shop around is the best strategy in town. When I visit a shopping mall, I always shop around to get a great price as I don't know how to bargain. Okay, so you just look, you don't bargain. Before buying a house is essential to shop around. Yes. You need to shop around the square to find the best jacket quality with affordable prices. What's the square? The market? Many people like shopping around to get the great prices. Yes. You shop around, you compare the prices. For me, what do I shop around? Recently I bought some new YouTube lights. I don't want to say uh, they're not officially they're not YouTube lights. They are lights. They're color lights for the background. So I went on Amazon, which does not sponsor this live stream. I went on Amazon to shop around. I spent about an hour looking at stupid lights, and I finally ordered some new lights that will probably be here in. It takes like 2 weeks to come to Korea, so I'll have a new background in the future with nice colorful lights. Because James got a light. Did you see James live stream? He got some sort of light. He makes me look bad. I got to get a light. Man, I usually shop around to get a reasonable price before buying the item I need. Yes. Layla, I don't shop online. I was disappointed when I did so. Oh, yeah. I don't buy clothing or shoes online. But some electronics in Korea, you have to get electronics online. There's no computer stores in Korea. There's no hardware stores in Korea. Any sort of electronics you have to get online. Shop around, explore the entire range in stores. I think I need to train myself to shop around to buy something. Do you have to train yourself? Just do it. Shop around in stores. Yes, he has a lovely background. Oh, I have to have a better background. So I got better lights. Don't feel sad, Robin. I bought my I'm drooling. Statuary things before shopping around for a reason. What are statuary things, Lavanya? Statuary? What's statuary? Statuary. Yeah, I don't know if you have the right word there. Statuary doesn't seem like the right word. All right. There's no quiz, so I just let you do the example sentences. Of the 10, how many did you learn about today? So give me a number. There's 10 phrasal verbs we learned today. Account for, adhere to, bank on, brush up on, dawn on, do away with, frown upon, shop around, stamp out, think back. Of the 10, how many did you learn? Lavanya says, sorry, Robin, typo. Well, on an IELTS test, typos are not allowed. We have to be a little strict on the IELTS channel more than the daily English homework channel. So Rhoda learned 7. Good. Layla, 9 of 10 you learned. May is 7. About 3. Okay, I learned 10 phrasal verbs because Henrik knows nothing. Salma's 8. Layla with an I is 5. All right. So again, you might see these again. James might talk about these. I might talk about them in the future. Again, you see them again and again. You're learning. These are all common phrasal verbs. Stationary makes sense, Lavanya. You don't have to say stationary things. You can just say, I bought my stationery before shopping around for a reasonable price. That means you paid too much. All right, let's go to the end. So, your homework. Write some example sentences using the new vocabulary, the new phrasal verbs in the comment section below this video. Come back tomorrow, do the homework, join the WhatsApp group if you haven't already. Yes, I'm talking to you, Sleepwalker. We're waiting for you years. Robin, do you often use these phrasal verbs in your speech? Yes, I do. I don't teach anything unless I use it. So when I look at a list of phrasal verbs, if there's a lot of phrasal verbs I don't use, some of them I've never even heard of, but I don't teach it unless I use it. I use all 10 of these. Every native speaker would probably use all 10 of these. They're all very common. I don't ever teach stuff. Sometimes when I teach British English, then I'm teaching some sort of vocabulary or slang that I don't use, but I usually say this is British English. But in American English, I only teach what I know. WhatsApp group link. Rhoda, if you join the WhatsApp group, you got to join the link in the comment section. That's going to put you in a main room, World English 1. You have to send me a private message or tell me in that group, hey, I'm from the IELTS Insider channel. And Rhoda, I'll put you in a safe group because everyone goes to the main room, which is kind of a place where I have to find the good students and bad students. But Rhoda, I know you're a good student. You just tell me, you join the WhatsApp, you say, hey, I'm from the live stream, and I'll put you in a awesome group. But you don't use it. I use these with my students. Well, you know these are for IELTS. So a lot of these, I would say, are used in more formal situations, like account for. That's a little formal. Adhere to. That's a little formal. Bank on. It's a little formal. Stamp out. That's a little formal. So those are good for IELTS. Well, they're all good for IELTS, but I mean, there are some formal phrasal verbs that I wouldn't use in my everyday speech to my friends. Layla, can you give us a lesson on how to remember what we learned? Well, I gave you homework. That is how you remember. You come back tomorrow and do the homework. And you got to tomorrow when you're reviewing these words, you're going to remember them. I think learners prefer to use just equivalent verbs instead of phrasal verbs. The Sleepwalker, like phrasal verbs help with synonyms. So as you know, polish, what did you say? Polish up on, brush up on. So if there is a question that you use brush up on and you need a synonym, use polish up on, that's good. If you needed a stamp out, so maybe the question had eradicate and you needed a synonym, so stamp out would be great if you could use that. So I don't want to say don't use phrasal verbs. I would say stay away from basic phrasal verbs, but even like phrasal verbs like vocabulary, there are levels. There's a basic level, an intermediate level, and these, yeah, all these could work in an IELTS. Like I didn't put basic phrasal verbs like get on the bus or get out of here or basic stuff. Cat, we've had cat before. Are you the same cat? Irfan Malik, take around. Don't forget to check my pronunciation. Maybe I'll consider it. Hello, Irfan Malik. So please, Robin, try to use them to give us a chance to remember them. I pay attention. You might, now that you know them, you might hear me say them. I've been saying them all along. Can we use, you can use phrasal verbs in writing and speaking. Oh, Rhoda joined the group. Let's check Rhoda. I'm sending hello in the group. Please reply to me in the WhatsApp group and I will move you to a safe group. All right. Thank you, Sleepwalker. I'll check the IELTS writing in a couple days. But Robin, we have to stay away from the phrasal verbs that we don't know them perfectly. What do you think? On a real test conditions, you use what you know perfectly. Don't escape for us. Sleep from us. Sleep. I'm not sleeping. All right, Sleepwalker, why are you not in the WhatsApp group? Sleepwalker, answer. I'm just fixing up Rhoda here. Rhoda. I sent you a private message, Rhoda. When will you check test one? In a few days. May says, I missed her question. Oh, sorry, May. I did answer that. Can we use phrasal verbs in writing or only in speaking? I said we can use it both. May, you can use it both. Robin, I don't know if you insist. I can join. Well, Sleepwalker, I think you are loved by many people here. Many people know you. Many people like you. I know we are just internet friends, but we do care for you, Sleepwalker, and we'd like to know you a little more. If you join the group and participate, we chat there, we have fun, we share videos and talk, and it's quite a good community. And Kat, you checked my homework a few times in your day. Okay, Kat, welcome here, Kat. Roddy, hello. And sir, how can chaser girls like vocabulary? Oh, you're fine. You got to practice every day for IELTS reading, vocabulary, reading, writing every day, watching these videos, doing the homework every day, every day, every day. Yeah, Sleepwalker. Your family. But Sleepwalker, when you join, let me know if you join. If you join, let me know so I can get you out of the main group. All right, I'm going to end the live stream now. So everyone, thank you for joining, and I'll do my homework and check your homework with a new live stream in a few days. So maybe Monday or Tuesday I'll do that. So I have huge difficulty for vocabulary speaking. Frown, James and I are doing a lot of vocabulary lessons. We have you. It's up to you to watch, participate, get active. People are learning. Everyone watching me now can get IELTS 7, right? Harry can get IELTS 7. May can get IELTS 7. Sleepwalker can get IELTS 9, band 9. Anyway, all right. Bye, everyone.